You might be asking, is there a simple way to wealth? I get asked that all the time, where I'll have someone come and says, right, okay, you give me lots of different ideas, but tell me just what's the one thing I should do? And the most annoying thing that someone who is looking for smart ways to move forward hears from someone who's wealthy is, it's not about the money. As long as you're doing something that's not about money, you're on the right path. And the reason that's so annoying is because most people who say that haven't yet articulated what they actually mean by that. Because if it's not about the money, what is it about? So what I'd like to do is to share with you a fundamental core principle that I found in every wealthy person that I've met. And if you look into yourself as you hear this, and you ask yourself, out of all that information that you currently have, is the next thing you need more information? I mean, do we not already have more information than ever? And isn't that actually slowing us down rather than speeding us up? There's this great saying, which is that information and knowledge is the greatest barrier to all success. The illusion of knowledge is that we actually think we know already. So what happens when we actually just clear it out and say, so what really is important? Here is a graph, and you can draw this graph down as well. Keep it somewhere close, because this for me is the most powerful graph that I look at every day. And it's a graph which is about what it is that makes money flow in the first place, which is something called RV. Why we make different value judgments at different times is because of RV, which stands for relative value. The only way someone would buy my watch from me is that they value it more than I do, so I'm willing to sell it, they're willing to buy it. The only reason that someone would give up their time to work in one of my businesses is because they would rather have the money and I would rather have their time. So what happens is we have an exchange where one of us values something in one way, one in the other. So what about us individually? What are we actually valuing which might be what's stopping us from being able to even improve in the first place? Well, relative value doesn't change as a result just of your age. It changes as a result of something deeper inside, and what I call wealth. Wealth to me is not how much money you have in the bank, because I've seen some very wealthy people lose everything and get it right back again. So clearly it's something deeper than that. So this concept of wealth that I'm going to give you is that wealth is the sum of your relative values. That every day when you wake up, however you're valuing things around you is going to define your wealth already. There's one thing that goes down in relative value, the wealthier you get until it's worth almost nothing. So the people on this side will always end up getting paralyzed because any moment this shows up, they think, well, that's worth so much, I definitely don't want to go and waste it. Whereas on this side, because they hardly value it at all compared to other things, it always keeps them in flow. And this thing, by the way, which goes down in relative value the wealthier you get, is in fact something called money. You go, what? Money? How's that possible? How is it they've got so much if they don't value it? But if I go to someone who doesn't have money, and I say, what will you do for $1,000? They'll do a lot for $1,000. I go to someone wealthy, I say, what will you do for $1,000? They'll say, keep the money, it's not about the money. I'm giving my money away. All the wealthiest people in the world, they're giving it away. They're just getting into more flow. So you think, well, so how does that work? Do I just pretend my money's not worth anything? No. The reason they don't value the money so much is they made sure that they put enough time in to put a plumbing system in place to ensure they didn't have to worry about the money, because that wasn't what was important. In the same way that we live in cities where we can turn on the tap and we can get the water we need, because we figured if we just figured that bit out, we wouldn't be worrying all day about the water. If you live in a village where it takes you a day to go get the water, you would value your water in a whole different way. So these people here have just made sure they've got a plumbing system in place so they can get beyond it being about the money. So you think, oh, so if it's not about the money, what's it about? Well, it's about something which goes in the opposite direction. It goes down from here up to here, and the reason that most people stay down here is because they get exactly as much as the wealthiest people in the world of this. It's the most valuable resource you have, but because they keep thinking they're going to have more tomorrow, they end up wasting it all away. Whereas on this side, they value it so much, they ensure that they use every drop of it, because this thing which goes up in relative value, which all of us have, and which is the most valuable resource, is something called your time. Your time. If you decide you're going to waste today, and just kind of think tomorrow about what you might do differently, then of course nothing changes in your wealth. But the moment, and some of us, it's a massive moment that we have in our life because there's something that happened to our health, something that happened to our wealth, something that happened to our family, where suddenly we're just saying, what am I doing with my time? What would I do differently today if I actually had today as my last day? What would I do? And you would live one of the wealthiest days that you can imagine, because you start to really value that time. You start looking and saying, well, hang on a minute, where do I sit? Am I actually willing to waste my time? If I know if I went out there and found great mentors, I met up with multimillionaires who were willing to share their purpose with me, I was inspired in new ways and I invested my time in that way, am I going to stay there or would I move pretty quickly? So how am I going to spend the rest of today? And if we start looking at that and thinking, well, if on this side there are people who are always focusing at their money and wasting away their time, and we have the same 24 hours as Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, if instead we started saying, how am I actually investing every one of those hours in a way that is sharing it with others who also value their time as much as me? Because wealth is not what you have a stakeholding in. Those assets will just disappear anyway, especially when the markets change like they have recently. But when you invest your time with those people out there who have the true value of their time, and they have a stakeholding in you, we find that wealth is not what you have a stakeholding in, it's who has a stakeholding in you. Who's showing up for that game with you? In Wealth Dynamics, every one of us has got a very different way that we actually value our time, and that's why we can work together in effective teams. In Wealth Spectrum, we see that there's different divisions we should be playing in as well, and it allows us to actually step up one step at a time. But the fundamental key here as we go up is to actually ask yourself the question, all right, when it comes to my money, when I spend my money, can I always get more? But when I spend my time, how long has that gone for? It's gone forever. Today, the next hour, how could you invest your time in the most effective way possible, not to make money for yourself, but to be of value to someone else to help them make money? And as a result of just doing that one thing, change your thinking from someone who's focused at money, if that's where you're at, to someone who's focused at time. And even if you think you're there already, ask yourself again, for the next week, for the next month, what can you do with your time to get that bonus time by getting there faster? And if you can figure out how to get to your 5-year goals in 1 year, you just got 4 years of bonus time to put into whatever you want. That is true wealth.